अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा पदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त श्री राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनेति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। आनंद लीलामय विग्रहाय हेमावदिव्य छवि सुंदराय तस्मै महाप्रेम रसप्रदाय चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते। नित्यानंदमहं नौमि सर्वानंदकरं परं हरिनाम प्रदं देवं अवधूत शिरोमणि। श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय। श्री नित्यानंद राम की जय। जगन्नाथ रथ यात्रा महा उत्सव की जय। हरे कृष्णा। So before I begin, I want to prostrate myself a million times at the lotus feet of Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, because of whose endeavor we have been blessed with this. Srila Prabhupada's appearance, Rathyatra was only in India, and to be precise, it was only in Orissa. But after Prabhupada's appearance, Jagannath decided to do a world tour, and he started doing a world tour in every major city of the world. Starting from San Francisco, our San Francisco temple is called as the New Jagannath Puri Temple. Starting in San Francisco, going up to London, Los Angeles, and practically every major town and village. That prediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he and his name will spread, that was fulfilled by Prabhupada. So we offer our obeisances and gratitude to Prabhupada, because of whom we are all here, wanting and desiring to hear something about the Rathyatra Festival. Secondly, I offer my very humble, respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of my worshipable spiritual master, Sri Srimati Radha Govinda Maharaj, whose appearance day is going to be tomorrow on the day of Rathyatra. So taking his blessings upon my head, who appeared on the day of Rathyatra, to save and protect and rescue this person who was completely against Krishna Bhakti, I offer my very respectful obeisances to him. At the same time, I offer my obeisances to all the wonderful, glorious disciples of Prabhupada who are traveling around the world in the ripe old age, 70 or 70 plus, spreading the fruits of Vraja Prem, spreading the fruits of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions. And lastly, I offer my respectful obeisances to all the devotees present here. Please pray for me. Please bless me so that I can speak some favorable words in the glorification of Prabhu Sri Jagannath. Please accept my very humble obeisances. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So we see this week has started off in a really spiritually enlightening fashion. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's disappearance, which was coupled with Gadadhar Pandit's disappearance. Today is Gundicha Margin. Tomorrow is Rathyatra. While tomorrow is also the disappearance day of Swarup Damodar Goswami. Also the disappearance day of Shivananda Sen. So it's a power-packed week. The week has just begun. It's not even the end. It's just the start. And this for those devotees who are not aware, I'm stationed right now in Seattle. And because this week is so spiritually enlightening, we are having a flood of speakers. It started with His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu. Now Chaitanya Charan Prabhu is here. Gauranga Prabhu is here. And Bhakti Anugrah Janardhan Maharaj is here. 3 devotees are there at the same time. Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, Gauranga Prabhu, and Bhakti Anugrah Janardhan Maharaj. So you can imagine the explosion that is happening right now in Seattle. Devotees are torn apart, whether to go to Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's classes, whether to go to Gauranga Prabhu's classes, or whether to go to Maharaj's classes. So it's a complete spiritual explosion that is going on, and all because of these wonderful appearances and disappearances that are taking place at the same time. The cherry on the cake is the Jagannath Rathyatra Festival. So these personalities, just like the Supreme Lord is like the moon. Krishna Chandra, Rama Chandra, Gaura Chandra, he is the moon. But these personalities like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Swarup Damodar Goswami, Shivananda Sen, all these personalities, they are like the stars. They also have their role, but the role of these stars is to enhance the beauty of the sky and also the moon. So Jagannath is like that moon, and these wonderful, beautiful, glittering stars in the dark horizon of Kali Yuga are there to enhance the beauty of Sri Jagannath. So this festival of Jagannath Rathyatra is such that we have all heard the pastimes. We all know the pastimes of Jagannath, how Jagannath appeared, how Narad Muni saw. We all know the history. And so many other pastimes of Jagannath in connection to his devotees. We have all heard it many times. So today, keeping the pastimes to the side, I want to take all the devotees on a very different route. Something that probably we have not heard in connection to Jagannath, but from a very philosophical, at the same time, a pastime-oriented path. Of course, there's going to be more philosophy, so kindly bear with me. It may get technical. We may hear things that we have not heard. All of this are from the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Prabhupada has given. So I'm giving the reference also. So it may be something that may go over the head. So just as a caution, a disclaimer. You see, whenever we go to buy insurance policies or bank account, they will have everything in bold. But down below, there will be asterisk. And that will be so small that your eyes cannot read it. So it will be there, but it will not be there. So similarly, I'm just giving a disclaimer. And that disclaimer is, it may be technical and it's possible that it may go over the head. So that is the reason my very humble suggestion is, I am no one to instruct or order because I'm younger to all the devotees here in age, probably except for Ram Tulsi Prabhu's son, who is the only person who is younger to me. Everyone is older to me in age. So I cannot instruct, but a very humble suggestion would be, if we have a book and pen, maybe we can write it down. Because in Kali, mastak mein kuch yaad nahi rehta. Isliye pustak mein likhna avashyak hai. Nothing remains in the mastak. But if you write it in the pustak, then we will remember it. And it's easier to share with others. So, going on this journey of a philosophy combined with some little pastimes of Sri Jagannath, we'll start our discussion. The Srimad Bhagavatam is not different from Sri Krishna. The 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, they correspond to different limbs of Krishna's body. And of these different 12 cantos that are there, the 10th canto is the most important, the crux. As Srila Prabhupada has named the 10th canto, Samam Bonam. Yes, Shraddha Mataji knows it. The Samam Bonam. In the 10th canto, Prabhupada writes Samam Bonam. And if you open the dictionary, we will see what is Samam Bonam. It's the essence. It's the crux. All the 12 cantos important, but not more important than the 10th canto. So it's a summum bonum, the most essential. But this 10th canto is, as we said, all the 12 cantos are compared to Krishna's body, different limbs of Krishna's body. This 10th canto is compared to the smiling face of Shri Krishna. You see, when we look at someone, we don't first look at their hands. We first don't look at their legs. We don't look at their ears. But the first thing that we look at is their smiling face. No one wants to be around someone who is always morose, who is always depressed. We want smiling people around, because if smiling people are there around, it's contagious. It's very contagious. Similarly, this 10th canto is that smiling face, the most essential, the sweetest. But some acharyas also say this 10th canto is like the heart of Krishna. So one acharya is saying 10th canto is like the face, smiling face, while another acharya is saying this 10th canto is like the heart of Shri Krishna. Now, according to Ayurveda, this heart has Panchapran. For those devotees who have heard Ayurveda, you would have heard this word called as Panchapran. 5 important life airs. We all have it. Whether we know or not is a different thing. But Ayurveda says we all, if we are human beings and we are there in this earth planet, then we all have Panchapran, 5 important life airs. Similarly, if this 10th canto is the heart of Krishna, then it only means this 10th canto should also have 5 life airs. So what are these 5 life airs? Oh, these 5 life airs are the 5 most important chapters of the 10th canto. So of all the scriptures that are present, the Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost. But of the 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto is the topmost. But of the 10th canto, these 5 chapters are the topmost. So it's like a ladder. We are just going up and up. Now, what are these 5 chapters, or called as the Panchapran? First, Canto 10, Chapter 21, the Venu Geet, the song of Krishna's flute. Second, Canto 10, Chapter 31, the Gopi Geet, the song of separation of the Braja Gopis. Third, Canto 10, Chapter 35, Yugal Geet. Fourth, Canto 10, Chapter 39, Viraha Geet. And fifth, Canto 10, Chapter 47, Brahmar Geet. These are the 5 most important chapters of the 10th canto. Similarly, if Srimad Bhagavatam is not different from Sri Krishna, isn't Chaitanya Charitamrita also not different from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Of course it is not different. If Krishna and Bhagavatam are the same, it only means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Chaitanya Charitamrita are also one and the same. So similarly, just like Bhagavatam has 5 life airs or 5 most important chapters, similarly, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita also has 5 most important, essential chapters. First, Roop Siksha, Mahaprabhu's teaching to Srila Rup Goswami. Second, Sanatan Siksha, Mahaprabhu's teaching to Sripad Sanatan Goswami. Third, Rai Ramananda Samvad, Mahaprabhu's conversations, not teachings, but conversations with Ramananda Rai. Because in all other sections, Mahaprabhu speaking. With Rup Goswami, Mahaprabhu speaks. Sanatan Goswami, Mahaprabhu speaks. It's only in Rai Ramananda Samvad, Mahaprabhu wants to hear. So that is why it's not Rai Ramananda Siksha, it is Rai Ramananda Samvad. You see how beautifully Kaviraj Goswami even frames the titles. So that was the third. So Roop Siksha, Sanatan Siksha, Rai Ramananda Samvad. Fourth, the Shikshashtakam prayers that we chant in the morning. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. Whether we mean it or not is a different thing, but we at least chant it in the morning, that I don't want money. We at least chant it. We at least parrot it. So that is the fourth, Shikshashtakam prayers, which comes in the Antilila of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And fifth and most important, in line with our discussion, is the Rathyatra Festival, the Rathyatra Prasang. So these are the 5 important chapters of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So the Rathyatra that we are celebrating is one of the most important events in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life when he came down to this world. Mahaprabhu lived only for 48 years in this material plane. And in those 48 years, He was chanting and singing the glories of Srimati Radharani. But in those 48 years, according to Kaviraj Goswami, this festival of Rathyatra is one of the most important. Why? Because in this festival of Rathyatra, Mahaprabhu explodes like a golden volcano. Mahaprabhu explodes in the mood of Radharani. What does this mean, dear devotees? To understand this, we have to backtrack. We have to go back 5,000 years in the past into Krishna Leela. Krishna Leela and Gaura Leela flow back and forth. No difference. Just like ocean and ocean shore. The waves of the ocean come and take some sand particles from the ocean shore, and they again go back, and they again come, and they again go back. Similarly, Krishna is Karuna Sindhu. He is the ocean, while Mahaprabhu's pastimes are like the shore. Krishna comes, experiences Chaitanya Leela, and again goes back, and again comes back, and again goes back. So Chaitanya Leela can never be discussed without not discussing Krishna Leela. It always flows back and forth. So in Krishna Leela, when Krishna is there in this planet, Sri Krishna is called as Swayamru. Now we will discuss some philosophy here, dear devotees. Krishna has a form called as Swayamru. Swayam means he himself, and Roop is the form. Now, why is he called as Swayamru? This is that form of Krishna where he is having a peacock feather, where he is having a flute, where he is having Pitambar Vesh, where he is playing with his friends, where he is stealing butter, where he is jumping around like the monkeys. Maya Yashoda tells Krishna, jumping around with the monkeys, you have also become a monkey. All this while you are normal, but hanging around with the monkeys, you are also becoming like a monkey. Of course, this is Maya Yashoda's mood. We don't go to Krishna and tell this. Disclaimer, these stunts are performed by professionals. We don't do this. But Maya Yashoda has so much love. She calls Krishna even a monkey. So now our Acharya has described Swayamru Krishna. Who is the Swayamru Krishna? Gopavesh, Venukar, Navakishore, Natavar. He has 4 qualities. What are these 4 qualities? First, Gopavesh. He dresses like a Gopa. Krishna doesn't wear pant and shirt, Levi's, Peter England. Krishna doesn't wear all these things. Krishna is very simple. In fact, Krishna never wore even stitched. Krishna never wore anything stitched. So that is why even now you see many of the Brajavasis, even in our Gaudiya tradition, we wear dhoti, which is not stitched. So we are following Krishna's mood. Krishna never wore anything stitched. Just one cloth. Likewise, Rupa, Sanatan, all these Goswamis, they all never wore anything stitched. So Krishna is dressing like a Gopa, Gopa Vesh. And Gopa Avesh. Not just he is dressing like a Gopa, his Avesh, his mood is also like a Gopa. He is convinced he is a Gopa. Why? Because he is Nandanandan. His father is Gopa community. So he is convinced, like father, like son. My father is Gopa community. Oh, I am also Gopa. So Gopa Vesh form and Gopa Avesh. He's also thinking that he is Gopa. He's convinced. This is the first quality. So just to summarize or just to recap, we are talking about Swayamru Krishna. The qualities of Swayamru Krishna. Gopa Vesh or Gopa Avesh. Second, Venukar. He plays the flute. Third, Navakishore. Oh, he's very youthful. Adhyam Purana Purusham. Navayovanamcha. Brahmaji in Brahma Samhita says the same thing. Krishna is Navayovan. He's very youthful. That's the third. And fourth, Natavar. Best among dancers. There's no one better than Krishna. So much so that when Krishna dances, Lord Shiva, who's also equally good in dancing, he stops. Lord Shiva takes his book and pen because he is seeing different new steps that he has not seen. It is learning time for Lord Shiva. He makes notes, seeing the different dance of Sri Krishna. The Apsaras, the Gandharvas, they all stop. Because when Krishna dances, it's a sight to behold. Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna is good in dancing, no doubt. Lord Shiva is good But better than Lord Shiva is Krishna. But better than Krishna is Srimati Radharani. Prabhupada says, oh, if Srimati Radharani stops dancing, all of the creation will stop. It is because of Radharani's dancing that everything is there together. Externally, Ananta Shesh is holding everything. But Prabhupada says, for the Brajavasis, it is Radharani's dancing. If Radhika stops dancing, oh, everything will collapse. So Krishna is good, but not better than Radharani. Krishna plays the flute, but not better than Radharani. Radharani taught Krishna how to play the flute. So Radharani is 10 million times better than Krishna in everything that Krishna does. Krishna cannot compete with Radharani. Krishna can, outside in the world, he can say, oh, I am God. Matta parataram nanyat kinjit asti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre mani gana eva. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna can tell Arjuna. But that same Krishna, when he's in Vrindavan, oh, he's dancing. Radharani is better than him in dancing. Flute playing, Radharani is better than him in flute playing. Beauty, Radharani is 10 million times more beautiful than Krishna. So Krishna loses the battle in front of Radharani in Braja. But Krishna is not our. He is the best among dancers. Krishna is very good in dancing. So much so that when Krishna sees the peacocks, our Acharya has described, when Krishna sees the peacocks, you see, when it rains, the peacocks start dancing. Peacocks start dancing. And when the peacocks start dancing, Krishna looking at the peacocks, he also starts dancing. You see, during a Sunday feast, one devotee gets up and starts dancing. Naturally, the other devotees are excited to get up. We are all waiting for that one devotee to get up. We want to dance, but we are a little shy. One devotee in the Sunday feast gets up. Gaura Premananda, everyone will get up and start dancing. Similarly, the peacock, seeing the rain, starts dancing. And this excites Krishna's heart to also start dancing. And Krishna is dancing, and the peacocks are dancing, and the peacocks are dancing, and the Krishna is dancing, and it goes back and forth. And at one point, the peacocks stop. And they tell Krishna, Krishna, this is the only thing that we know to do. But look at our misfortune. You are better than us in this dancing also. We thought that in Vrindavan, this is the only thing that we are good at. But looking at you, looking at your dance, we feel ashamed. You're such a good dancer, Krishna. What can we give you? And the peacocks, they're paying the price to see Krishna's dancing. They start plucking the feathers from their body and they start offering. My dear Krishna, this is for you. We cannot give you anything, but let this be the price that we are paying to witness your dancing. And Krishna takes those peacock feathers and keeps it on his head and says, I promise you. I said patram pushpam phalam toyam. This is patram. This is like a leaf. I will always keep it on my head because you have given something from your body. This is Atma Nivedanam, dear devotees. Because Krishna, Atma Nivedanam is nothing but complete surrender. Complete 100% surrender. And what can be more, as far as surrender is concerned, what can be greater than plucking the feathers of your body, which is so painful, and giving it to Krishna? This is a sign of Atma Nivedanam, complete surrender. And that is why Krishna keeps it on his head to show all of us. If someone has Atma Nivedanam, this is the spot you will get on my head. Complete surrender, 100%. So Krishna is good in dancing. So Swayamru Krishna has these four qualities. Gopavesh, Venukar, Navakishore, Natavar. This is Swayamru Krishna. Now, this Swayamru Krishna has two expansions, which are called as Prakash. Prakash basically means illumination. Like in Hindi we say, Prakashit karna. ये दिवाली का अवसर है, तो इसीलिए हम दीप प्रकाशित करते हैं. Prakash basically means illumination. So Kaviraj Goswami describes these two expansions as Prakash because they illuminate. These expansions are such that it is illuminating. So now the Swayamru Krishna, I hope we are there in the conversation. This Swayamru Krishna is now expanding into two forms. First is called as Prabhav Prakash. First is called as Prabhav Prakash. Now, who is this Vaibhav Prakash? As I said, it may get technical, but it is also sometimes good to discuss some philosophy, to understand how this philosophy is connected with the Rathyatra festival. So Swayamru Krishna is expanding as Vaibhav Prakash. Now, who is this Vaibhav Prakash? Vaibhav Prakash, in simple language, is that form of Krishna where the form and the mood of Swayamru Krishna is retained. That expansion of Krishna where the form and mood is retained of the Swayamru Krishna is called as Vaibhav Prakash. Now I'll give you an example, because you see, till the time there's no example, it's sometimes difficult to comprehend. What is the example? Krishna dancing in the rasa dance with the Braja Gopis. We would have all seen that ISKCON photo where many gopis are there in circles and Krishna is dancing with each and every gopi. For some gopi, Krishna is wiping her sweat. For some other gopi, Krishna is tying the ankle bells. For some other Braja Gopi, Krishna is trying to do the same pose that she is doing. Krishna is expanded there. But now my question is he having Pitambar Vesh? Yes. Is he having a flute? Yes. Is he having a peacock feather? Yes. Which means the form of the Swayamru Krishna is maintained. Second, what is the mood? Is he considering himself as a Gopa? Yes, because he's still there in Vrindavan. So the form and mood of the Swayamru Krishna is maintained, and Krishna dancing with the gopis is an example of Prabhav Prakash. Not Prabhav Prakash, but Prabhav Prakash. So I again recap. First, we discuss Swayamru Krishna, who has these four qualities: Gopavesh, Venukar, Navakishore, Natavar. When he expands, his first expansion is Prabhav Prakash, where the form and mood of the Swayamru Krishna is maintained. What is the pastime? Krishna dancing with the Braja Gopis. Now his second expansion is Vaibhav Prakash. So again, Prakash means illumination. So the second expansion from the Swayamru is Vaibhav Prakash. Now who is Vaibhav Prakash? Very easy. If Prabhav Prakash retains the form and mood of the Swayamru, Vaibhav Prakash does not. So Vaibhav Prakash is that form of Krishna where the form and mood is different from the Swayamru Krishna. Now what is the example? Krishna in Kurukshetra who spoke Bhagavad Gita. Is his form like that of Vrindavan Krishna? No. Is he having a flute? No. Is he having a bugle? No. The form is different. What is the mood? Is he in the mood of a Gopa? No. But he's in the mood of a Kshatriya. So the form and mood are completely different, which means the Krishna who spoke Bhagavad Gita is Vaibhav Prakash Krishna, because the form and mood from the Swayamru Krishna is different. Krishna dancing with the gopis, this is Prabhav Prakash Krishna. But Krishna speaking the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, this is Vaibhav Prakash Krishna. Why? The form and mood are different from the Swayamru Krishna. So now Krishna has three forms: Swayamru Krishna, Prabhav Prakash Krishna, and third, Vaibhav Prakash Krishna. Are we all there till here? Three forms of Krishna. As I mentioned earlier, if we are not writing down, it may be difficult to remember. Probably we may comprehend it right now, but after the class is done, the evaporation will start. You will forget everything. So it's always good, at least, to write some technical terms so that it's easier to remember. And especially when we share it with others, it will just register much better in our head. So Krishna has three forms. Similarly, Srimati Radharani also has three forms. Just like Krishna has three forms. As we discussed, Swayamru Krishna, Prabhav Prakash Krishna, and Vaibhav Prakash Krishna. Now you may have this question. Well, you mentioned Vaibhav Prakash Krishna is outside of Vrindavan, but do we have any example of Vaibhav Prakash Krishna in Vrindavan? Is there any example of Vaibhav Prakash Krishna where the form and mood are different, but is still present in Vrindavan? And the answer is yes. It is Balaramji. Balaram is an example of Vaibhav Prakash expansion of Krishna, who is there in Vrindavan. Why? Why is he Vaibhav Prakash? Because form is different from Krishna. Krishna is bluish black, while Balaram is white spring cloud. So form is different. Mood is also different. Why? Because Krishna has Sevya Abhiman. Krishna has Sevya Abhiman, which means Krishna wants everyone should come and serve me. Sab aao, mere charanon ke paas aao. Everyone should come and serve me. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. What is Krishna saying? Oh, sarva dharman parityajya. Abandon everything. Mamekam sharanam braja. Just come and surrender to me. This is Sevya Abhiman. Everyone should come and serve me. But Balaram does not have this mood. Krishna has Sevya Abhiman. Balaram has Sevak Abhiman. Balaram is in the mood of servant. Balaram wants to serve. Balaram becomes Krishna's asana, vasana, bhushana, paduka. He's always in the mood of servant. That is why we say Gurudev is an expansion of Balaram. Why? Because he is always in the mood of servant. Gurudev will never say, I am Krishna. But he will say, I am the servant of Krishna. And this is the mood of Balaramji. That is why we say Gurudev is an expansion of Balaramji. Because Balaram has Sevak Abhiman, while Krishna has Sevya Abhiman. So Balaram is that example who is there in Vrindavan, but is an example of Vaibhav Prakash. So first, Swayamru Krishna, who expands. Second, as Prabhav Prakash, what's the pastime? Krishna dancing with the Braja Gopis. Third, Vaibhav Prakash. What is the example outside of Vrindavan? Krishna who spoke the Gita to Arjuna. And what is the example of Vaibhav Prakash in Vrindavan? Oh, it is Balaramji. Now these are three forms of Krishna: Swayamrup, Prabhav Prakash, and Vaibhav Prakash. The reason I'm saying it again and again is so that it registers in our head. Otherwise, these technical terms are such, we will forget. Especially if we have not heard it earlier, it will be difficult. So please bear with me. I'm just trying to repeat it again so that it's easier to remember. Krishna has three forms, and similarly, Srimati Radharani also has three forms. Radharani is coming from the heart of Krishna. So if Krishna is having three forms, how can Radharani not have three forms? So Radhika also has three forms. First, the first form of Radharani is called as Vrishabhanu Nandini Shri Radha. My dear brother has deities called as Bhanu Nandini Shri Krishna. In fact, that Shri Krishna was gifted to him by dear Ram Tulsi Prabhu. The first ever Shaligram that my brother got in his life, in his preaching, was gifted by Ram Tulsi Prabhu. So every time my brother does any abhishek, any puja for his Bhanu Nandini Shri Krishna, some portion of the credit goes to Ram Tulsi Prabhu because he was instrumental in giving it to him. So this is Dadati Prati Grinati. We always give something to others. So we are always thankful to you, dear Prabhu, for that very wonderful gift that you gave him. Of course, you are also free to give a gift to his brother. If you desire, you have given a gift to the older brother, you can also give something to the younger brother. I'm just joking. So the first form of Srimati Radharani is Vrishabhanu Nandini Shri Radha, or also called as Bhanu Nandini Shri Radha. So Vrishabhanu Nandini basically means the daughter. Like Nandan means the son. Nandan Shri Krishna. Nandan means son. And Nandini is daughter. So you see sometimes girls have the name Nandini. In fact, one devotee here in Seattle, who happens to be my godbrother, he had a daughter last year, and Srila Guru Maharaj gave the name Nandini. So Nandini basically means daughter, and Vrishabhanu Nandini means the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj. So this is the first form of Srimati Radharani, Vrishabhanu Nandini Shri Radha. This is that form of Srimati Radharani, dear devotees, where Radharani is always there with Krishna. All of Krishna's pastimes that Krishna did in Vrindavan, in connection with Radharani, with Srimati Radharani. Oh, that form of Radharani is Vrishabhanu Nandini Shri Radha. Which means, coming back to the previous example of Krishna dancing with the gopis, we said that Krishna is Prabhav Prakash Krishna. But who is that Radharani who danced with Krishna? it is Vrishabhanu Nandini who danced with Krishna. So Vrishabhanu Nandini Sri Radha is always there with Krishna. She is never separated. She is always there with Krishna. In fact, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati very beautifully describes Venum karanni patitam Skhalitam Shikhandam Brastan Chapita Vasanam Vrajaraja Suno Tasya Kataksha Saraghata Vimurchitasya Tamradika Paricharami Kadarasena. In his Radha Ras Sudhanidhi, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati describes Krishna was once going for Gocharan. He was going to herd the cows. And Maya, Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, they also came with Krishna because this was the first time that Krishna was going. So as parents, they were afraid, oh, Krishna will go deep inside the forest. What if some wild animal comes? Let us accompany him as much as possible. So Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya, they were following Krishna. And Krishna was also there with Madhumangal. Madhumangal is always there around Krishna. And as Krishna was going inside the forest, his eyes fell upon Srimati Radharani. And Srimati Radharani had her back towards Krishna. Krishna's eyes fell upon Srimati Radharani. And what unfolds next, what happens next, is what Prabodhananda Saraswati is describing. He writes a verse to describe what happens next. Now, please hear this carefully. When Krishna looks at Srimati Radharani, with Radharani's back towards Krishna, what happens? Venum karanni patitam Skhalitam Shikhandam. Oh, Krishna's flute that he always flaunts, that flute fell from Krishna's hand. Skhalitam Shikhandam. His peacock feather, it fell down to the ground, as if the peacock feather is giving obeisance to Srimati Radharani. The flute from his hand fell down to the ground. The peacock feather that he has upon his head, oh, that also fell down. Brastancha Pita Vasanam Vrajaraja Suno. Oh, he's the Sunu. He's the son of whom? Vrajaraja, Nanda Maharaj. But what happened to this prince? This prince who is so proud about his flute and his peacock feather. The upper cloth. Brastancha Pita Vasanam Vrajaraja Suno. That upper cloth also fell down to the ground. Mind you, Radharani is not looked at Krishna. It is only Krishna who has seen Radharani. Krishna is seeing Radharani, and the flute has fallen down to the ground. The peacock feather has fallen down to the ground. The upper cloth has fallen down to the ground. This is Vrindavan. This is the land of love, dear devotees. And now, Radharani decides to look at Krishna. She decides to reciprocate. But how does she look? Tasya kataksha saraghata vimurchitasya. Radharani doesn't give a complete glance, but kataksha, sidelong glance. Just like Lord Shiva is composed. Radha kripa kataksha. Radharani has one quality, which is a sidelong glance. We have to completely look at someone, but Radharani, just with her sidelong glance, can captivate the heart of anyone and everyone, including an atheist. Now, that Srimati Radharani decides to give a sidelong glance to Krishna. Tasya kataksha, she gives sidelong glance. Now what happens? Tasya kataksha saraghata vimurchitasya. Krishna gets a 440-volt jhatka. Krishna is electrocuted in prema and Krishna falls down to the ground. Vimurchit. He falls down to the ground unconscious, not able to take the sidelong glance of Radharani. This is the sidelong glance, dear devotees. Krishna is not able to take it. It has crossed the threshold for Krishna. He cannot take the sidelong glance of Radhika. Prabodhananda Saraswati is saying, Tam Radhika paricharami kadarasena. Oh, when will I get the service to the lotus feet of that Srimati Radharani? So this is Vrishabhanu Nandini Sri Radha, who is so powerful that with her sidelong glance, Krishna becomes down to the ground completely. And when Krishna fell down to the ground, Madhumangal was there close by. Madhumangal, he woke up Krishna. He said, Krishna, what are you doing? Your parents are standing. Your Maya and Baba are standing What will they think? You're looking at Srimati Radharani and falling to the ground. It may spark questions. Krishna, get up. So Madhumangal, he makes sure that Krishna gets up. So Krishna is torn in a tug of war of love between Vatsalyaras, Sakhyaras, and Madhuryaras. 3 strings of love are just tearing and pulling Krishna apart. And Krishna is trying to wobble his way here and there. Whether it is Maya in the form of Vatsalya, whether it is Radhika in the form of Madhurya, or whether it is Madhumangal in the form of Sakhyaras. This is Vrishabhanu Nandini Sri Radha, the first form of Srimati Radharani. Now you may have a question, dear devotees. The topic is Rathyatra, and it's been almost half an hour and we have not even touched the word Rathyatra. Has the speaker forgotten what he is speaking? No, we are on track. The reason I'm building everything is finally we will understand who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during the Rathyatra festival. So we have to backtrack a little and understand who Krishna and Radharani are. So this is the first form of Radharani, Vrishabhanu Nandini Sri Radha. Now we go to the second form of Radharani. It is called as Viyogini Sri Radha. Viyogini Sri Radha. Viyogini Sri Radha is that form of Srimati Radharani when she is separated from Krishna. When Krishna goes to Mathura. When Akrura becomes Krura and snatches Krishna away from Vrindavan. Oh, then Radharani separated from Krishna. This is Viyogini Radha. That form of Radharani who is separated from Sri Krishna is Viyogini Sri Radha. When Uddhav comes to Vrindavan, what form of Radharani is he speaking to? It's not Vrishabhanu Nandini. It is Viyogini Radha. So you see, Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami is very beautifully. We were talking about Viyogini Sri Radha. That form of Srimati Radharani where she is separated. When Uddhav is coming, he is speaking to Viyogini Sri Radha. Now this Radharani, dear devotees, is so special. Why? When Krishna goes to Mathura, this Radharani doesn't go. When I say this, I'm saying Viyogini Radha. Not that I'm addressing Radharani as this, but I'm saying this Viyogini Radha, this form of Srimati Radharani is not going to Mathura to be with Krishna, but she is staying in Vrindavan, which means she is prioritizing the land of Vrindavan over Sri Krishna, right? If she wants, she could have gone, but she is prioritizing the land of Vrindavan over Sri Krishna. And this is Gaudiya understanding. There is no land greater to the Vrindavan, dear devotees. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains, Na yoga siddhir na mamastu moksho vaikunta vasopi na parshvadattam premapi nasyaditi chetaram tu mamastu brindavana eva vasam. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, Na yoga siddhir. He's telling Krishna, my dear Lord, Na yoga siddhir. I don't want yoga siddhi. I don't want mystic perfections. Anima, mahima, laghima, nahi chahiye. I don't want all these things. Na yoga siddhir, na mamastu moksho. I don't want liberation. The yogis are wanting liberation. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, my dear Lord, nahi chahiye. I don't want your liberation. I don't want mystic perfections. And I don't want liberation. Na yoga siddhir, na mamastu moksho. Vaikunta vasopi na parshvadattam. I don't even want Vaikunta. Very strong statement. If the Sri Vaishnavas will hear this, they will go mad because all they want is Vaikunta. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur saying, my dear Lord, you keep your Vaikunta with yourself. I don't want your Vaikunta. Na parshvadattam. I don't want to become associates in Vaikunta. I offer my obeisances to Jai and Vijay, but I don't want to become them. They are great. But mujhe nahi banna unke jaisa. I don't want to become them. These are very strong statements, dear devotees. Na yoga siddhir, na mamastu moksho, vaikunta vasopi, na parshvadattam. Now comes the thunderbolt. He says, prema pi nasyad iti chetaramsu. My dear Lord, I don't want even prema to that form of Vishnu in Vaikunta. Nahi chahiye. So he's completely sidelining Vaikunta. No Vaikunta, no becoming the associates of Vaikunta, and not wanting prema to that form of Vishnu. Mamastu Vrindavana eva vasam. He says, my dear Lord, if by all of these things you are going to send me out of Vrindavan, hey Bhagavan, mujhe nahi chahiye. Your siddhi, your liberation, your Jayan Vijay, your Vaikunta, your prema to that Vishnu, I don't want these things. If by getting these things, if I'm being deprived of living in Vrindavan, maaf karo Bhagavan, mujhe nahi chahiye. So this is our Gaudi understanding. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says the same thing. Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajeshatanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam. He says, my dear Lord, Tadhama Vrindavanam, the most worshipable land for the Gaudiyas is Vrindavan. I give an example, dear devotees. Just like a wife is married to someone, she has a husband, and the husband maybe has a few brothers. The wife will respect the brothers of the husband, but she will love only the husband. Correct? She will not love the brothers. If she does that, then there is some problem. But she will respect only the brothers, but she will love the husband. Similarly, dear devotees, Vrindavan is like our husband. All other holy dhams, they are like the brothers of that husband. We respect all other places. Pandharpur, Ayodhya, Kashi, Haridwar, we respect all of them. They are all like the brothers to that husband, but our husband is Vrindavan Dham. Just like a wife is chaste towards the husband, similarly, we as Gaudiya Vaishnavas should be chaste to the land of Vrindavan Dham. When I say Vrindavan, it is Vrindavan, Mayapur, and Jagannath Puri. All three are same. These three are on a different plane altogether, but all other pastime places are not on the same plane. So Braj, Mayapur, and Puri are all on the same platform. So when I say Vrindavan, it holds true for other dhams also. So we should be like that chaste wife who only sees Vrindavan as the husband. And we see Vrindavan is not a Sthan Tirtha. It's not that, oh, in a map, it is there in Uttar Pradesh. Vrindavan is not Sthan Tirtha, it is Bhav Tirtha. If one has the Bhav, one can realize Vrindavan. Like for example, in Italy, there is a place, there are two places in Italy called as Milan and Rome. We would have heard Milan and Rome. Now, a Gaudiya Vaishnava is someone who will see this in connection to Vrindavan. It is not Milan and Rome, but it means when Radha and Krishna, when there is Milan, spelling is same, M-I-L-A-N. When there is Radha Krishna Milan, oh, then for Radha and Krishna, the Roma on their body stand on end. Romanja Kampa Shrutaranga Bhajo. We chant in the morning. So when Radha Krishna Milan is there, oh, the Roma of their body stand on end. Vrindavan is Bhav Tirtha. Similarly, it's not Dubai, it's Dobhai, Krishna and Balaram. It's not Dubai, it's Dobhai, Krishna Balaram. So Vrindavan is Bhav Tirtha. Wherever we are, we can see Vrindavan. Sthane Stita Shruti Kata Tanu Vak Manobir. Brahmaji, 10:14 in Brahmastuti, he says, wherever you are, Sthane Stita, you can see Braj. But there is a caution. To see that Braj, we should also associate with those who are Brajavasis. Only then we will get that mood. Ghar bete bete to nahi aayega. Thoda papad velna padega. We have to associate with those who are Brajavasis, those who are very exalted. And then that mood will come in the heart. So the point I'm trying to make here is Vrindavan is so glorious that Radharani prioritizes Vrindavan over Krishna. She doesn't leave Vrindavan. This is the second form of Radharani called as Viyogini Sri Radha. What was the first? Vrishabhanu Nandini Sri Radha. Second, Viyogini Sri Radha. Third is Sam Yogini Sri Radha. I repeat, Sam Yogini, S. Sam Yogini Sri Radha. Who is this form of Srimati Radharani? This is that Srimati Radharani who met Krishna in Kurukshetra. So Krishna in Kurukshetra is Vaibhav Prakash. But who is that Radharani who met Krishna in Kurukshetra? It is Sam Yogini Sri Radha. She is not separated from Krishna. She is meeting Krishna, but it is outside of Vrindavan. This is Samyogini Sri Radha. When Radharani met Krishna in Kurukshetra, Radharani looked at Krishna. And Srimati Radharani, she said, Vrindavana Govardhan, Yamuna Pulinavan, Se Sava Rasadika Leela, Se Vrajera Vrajajan, Mata Pita Bandhugan. Bada Chitra Kemone Pasarila. Srimati Radharani looks at Krishna and says, Vrindavan, Govardhan, Yamuna, Pulinavan, Se Sava Rasadika Leela. Hey Krishna, you forgot everything? You forgot Govardhan? You forgot Vrindavan? You forgot Yamuna? You forgot Rasasthali? You forgot Nidhivan? You forgot Seva Kunj? You forgot everything. Vrindavan, Govardhan, Yamuna, Pulinavan, Se Sava Rasadika Leela, Se Vrajera Vrajajan. Hey Krishna, you forgot the Vrajavasis. That Vrajavasi, those Vrajavasis who gave their life and soul for you, you forgot them also. Chike, you forgot all these things. Mata Pita Bandhugan, you forgot Maya Yashoda and Nanda Baba. Krishna, how can you be so ungrateful? Bada Chitro Kemone Pasarila. Radharani tells Krishna, it is very surprising. How can someone become so ungrateful? You forgot your parents. You forgot all these Vrajavasis. You forgot your friends. Krishna, how can you be so ungrateful? This is Samyogini Sri Radha. Now, what is the mood of Samyogini Radha, dear devotees? Srimati Radharani in Samyogini Sri Radha is reminding the Kurukshetra Krishna about Vrindavan and besieging him to leave everything and come back to Vrindavan. She is begging that, hey Krishna, you remember Vrindavan? You remember Govardhan? You see, sometimes if people are away, but you just remind them of the names, it brings a flash of memories, nostalgia. This is what Radharani is doing. Just giving names. Vrindavan, Govardhan, Yamuna. Yaad hai ki nahi? Or did you forget everything? So what is Samyogini Radha doing? Reminding Krishna and besieging Krishna. My dear Krishna, please come back to Vrindavan. We are all missing you. Please come. These are three forms of Radha, dear devotees. Now starts our real class. All this we were just building. Now Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming down to this world to taste whose love? To taste Radharani's love. Prem ras niryas korite aswadan, rag marg bhakti loke korite pracharan, rasika shekhara Krishna parama karuna, ei doi hetu hoite ichhara udgama. Shri Krishna is coming. Prem ras niryas korite aswadan. Bhagavan aswadan, swad lene ke liye aate hain. What swad? What is he coming to taste? Prem ras. Primarily the mood and sentiments of Srimati Radharani. So now, if Krishna is coming to taste the mood of Radharani, it only means he will be successful when he tastes these three moods of Radharani, correct? If he just tastes one mood of Radharani, then he is not successful. Then his purpose of descent is not successful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's descent to this world is complete when he is able to taste these three moods of Vrishabhanu Nandini Radha, Viyogini Radha, and Samyogini Radha. And dear devotees, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is he successful? Oh yes, he is very much successful. Mahaprabhu tastes all the three moods of Srimati Radharani. So Krishna has three forms: Swayamru, Vaibhav Prakash, Vaibhav Prakash. Radhika has three forms: Vrishabhanu Nandini Sri Radha, Viyogini Sri Radha, and Samyogini Sri Radha. And now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming down to taste the moods of Radharani, the three moods of Radharani. Oh, he also has three forms. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also has three forms. This is all given by Prabhupada. This is not some outside literature. This is all by Prabhupada. This is why Prabhupada said Chaitanya Charitamrita is postdoc study. This is the reason. It is so deep. And Prabhupada has given it. Prabhupada has given this. So Mahaprabhu has three forms. This is the last 5-6 minutes of our discussion. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has three forms. First is called as Bhavuk Nimai or called as Rasik Nimai. This Bhavuk Nimai corresponds to Vrishabhanu Nandini Sri Radha. Vrishabhanu Nandini, Srimati Radharani, when she is there in Vrindavan, Oh, that form is nothing but Bhavuk Nimai. Nimai, before Diksha, was very argumentative. But after Diksha, complete transformation. Kaha mora prananath, Murali Vadan. Kaha jao, kaha pao, Brajendra Nandan. Aha, Krishna, tumi gela kanthi. Mahaprabhu chants. So, after Diksha, his mood changes like that of Rishabhanu Nandini Sri Radha. After accepting Gayatri mantras from Ishwara Puripad. So, Bhavuk Nimai or Rasik Nimai is that form of Nimai where prior to sannyas, he is like Vrishabhanu Nandini Sri Radha. The second form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he is there in Gambhira in Jagannath Puri. In Gambhira, Mahaprabhu is in separation, like Viyogini Radha. And what is the proof that he is in separation? Oh, in the morning, Mahaprabhu would go to Gadadhar and hear Bhagavatam from Gadadhar. And at night, Mahaprabhu would cry like Srimati Radharani. Just like Viyogini Sri Radha cried in separation from Krishna. Similarly, Mahaprabhu in Gambhira would cry incessant tears. So much so that Kaviraj Goswami describes when Mahaprabhu, his prema would reach the pinnacle, Mahaprabhu would bang his head against the wall and he would bleed. So much in separation. Because in Gambhira, there was a small eye hole, dear devotees. You see, in doors, we have eye hole. There was a small eye hole. And from that eye hole, Mahaprabhu would see, from a distance, he would see Jagannath. And in complete madness, Mahaprabhu would run. And poof, his head would crash against the wall. It was a small hole, but Mahaprabhu in that small hole was seeing Jagannath. And he would run to embrace Krishna. And his head would hit against the wall and he would bleed. And Swarup Damodar and Raya Ramananda would take care of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is Viyogini Sri Radha. Radharani in separation from Krishna after Krishna left Vrindavan. So Mahaprabhu in the form of sannyas, in Jagannath Puri, in Gambhira is Viyogini Sri Radha. Now third, Samyogini Sri Radha. That form of Radharani who is besieging Krishna to come back to Vrindavan is nothing but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during the Jagannath Rathyatra. Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Rathyatra Festival is experiencing Samyogini Radha. The waves of Samyogini Radha are coming in the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he's looking at Jagannath. And Mahaprabhu is convinced that he is Samyogini Radha and that Jagannath is Kurukshetra Krishna and he is begging Krishna, my dear Krishna, come back to Vrindavan. Please come back to Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu in the Jagannath Rathyatra Festival chants a very famous verse, which is the last verse of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. 10, 90, 48. Jayati Janani Vaso Devaki Janmavadho Yaduvara Parishad Swair Dorbirasyanna Dharmam Stirachara Vrijinagna Susmita Shri Mukhena Vrajapura Vanitanam Vardhayan Kamadevam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted this verse in front of Jagannath. Why? Because this verse was also chanted by Srimati Radharani in front of Krishna. When Radharani chanted this verse in front of Krishna, that same emotion came in the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted that verse. And Shukadev Goswami quotes that verse to finish the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So you see how Bhagavatam is going back to the Rathyatra Festival. The last verse of the 10th canto maps back to the Rathyatra Festival. But the important point here is Mahaprabhu dancing during the Rathyatra Festival. Which form of Radharani is he experiencing? It is not Vrishabhanu Nandini Sri Radha. It is not Viyogini Sri Radha, but it is Samyogini Sri Radha. Mahaprabhu is experiencing the mood of Samyogini Radha and requesting Krishna or Jagannath to come back to the land of Vrindavan Dham. Srimati Radharani, when she saw Krishna at Kurukshetra, Kaviraj Goswami describes when Radharani saw Krishna at Kurukshetra, Radharani tells Krishna, you are that same Krishna and I am that same Srimati Radharani. And it is the same moonlit night. But Krishna, I am not feeling that rasa in my heart. I'm not feeling that ecstasy. Why? Because it's a battleground, Krishna. I'm not used to a battleground. There is no Tamal tree. There's no Kadamba. There's no Jamuna. There's no Govardhan. There's no Vrindavan. Krishna, why don't you come back? Why don't you come back? Why are you fighting a war? Why don't you come back? The Brajavasis don't like Krishna fighting. They want Krishna stealing butter, expressing his love to the Brajavasis. And Radharani is begging Krishna, my dear Krishna, please come back. And that same mood Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is experiencing. And pulling the Rath, my dear Lord, come back to Vrindavan. Don't stay here. Come back to Vrindavan. Let us all experience the same pastime in the land of Vrindavan. So Mahaprabhu is going through some Yogini Radha's mood. When we say Mahaprabhu came down to taste the mood of Radharani, it is these three moods. Vrishabhanu Nandini, Viyogini Shri Radha, and Samyogini Shri Radha. So dear devotees, this was not a pastime oriented class, but this was more of a tattva, philosophical standpoint as to who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during the Rathyatra Festival. We always hear pastimes. Sometimes it's also good to understand what the philosophy is in Krishna Leela and in Gaur Leela and how it's interconnected, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is tasting these three moods of Srimati Radharani. Having said this, we can only hope and pray that just like we are pulling the Rath and requesting Jagannath to come back to the land of Vrindavan, let us hope and pray that that same Jagannath, that same Krishna, Vrindavan Krishna, Bake Bihari, Radha Raman, may he also come back into our hearts, into our consciousness, so that we can eternally be around that wonderful Krishna in the land of Vrindavan Dham. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Krishna ki jai, Srimati Radharani ki jai, Jagannath Rathyatra Maha Utsav ki jai, ISKCON Bergen County Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.